I want to welcome everyone, and I hope some more people join us when we talk about how to make your memory stronger. Susan, do you want to introduce our first speaker?
Sure. Well, it's a very great pleasure to welcome Janie to our Wednesday Zoom drop-in. Janie, after a long career in business and marketing, she then took up a new career in neuro. She got a degree in neuroscience, and did research at Rush on dementia, and then became the founder and first director of the South Loop Village, where she has focused on helping people with dementia and their caregivers. And she's established the sort of model caregiver memory cafe in the South Loop. And she has both in person, and then she went online during the COVID, and now she has a mixture of both of them. And she's devoted herself also to spreading awareness and opportunities and education on how to help support those who are dealing with dementia and their caregivers. One of the things that she found was what she calls a memory kit. And she has established, or she's created the first memory kit in Chicago is at the Hall Library over on Wabash, a few blocks away from us over here. And it's really a great thing. It works like a library. You can go in and check out the memory kit. And there's about 4 different varieties, and I think Hall has 2. Is that correct, Janie?
Right now, there are 2, and we're working on the 3rd.
And so the idea, Janie's and my dream, is that we'll get them in all our libraries, including Blackstone. So Janie will tell us and show us and demonstrate memory kits.
Thank you, Susan, and thanks to Chicago Hyde Park Village for inviting me today. I'm going to magically, I hope, share my screen. Here we go.
Yay.
Very good.
Well done.
Okay, it's a miracle. So you can see, right?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So we introduced memory kits into the George C. Hall Library, the branch of the Chicago Public Library, that branch was built for people coming to Chicago from the Underground Railroad. And so that they would have a chance to have some literary experiences, go there, read books, check them out, and so on. So it has kind of a storied past, and that's why we were really, really pleased that that's actually the first place in the Chicago Public Library system to have memory kits. And there are lots of suburban libraries with memory kits, but none in our system here in Chicago. So we hope we're starting something. And I hope at the end of this little 10-minute presentation that you will be moved to go to your public library and ask for the memory kits. And if they say, what is that? We don't have them. We want you to tell them what they are and ask them why they don't have them and when they're going to get them. So we are pushing this cause. So here is kind of what they look like at the Hall Library. They are in a big plastic backpack. I will warn you, they are heavy, but people don't seem to mind. They are checking them out. So I'll tell you a little bit more about that. And we are working on to reduce a little bit of the weight of those. So here is our flyer, and it tells you a little bit about what a memory kit is. It's for people with dementia and their care partners to work together, enjoying things that are from the past or things that people enjoy doing together, and to spend time together experiencing things that they may not have around their house or may not know where to go to get and enjoy. So we have 2 of them. We have one focused on nature and one focused on music, which because that one's in Bronzeville, that's focused on gospel Bronzeville being the home of gospel music, gospel and jazz. So you can just go there if you have a public library card. If you don't, they'll be happy to issue one for you. And check out these memory kits. You can check it out for 2 weeks at a time. And my understanding is you can check it out a second time after those 2 weeks are up. So here I'm going to show you some pictures of some of the items that are in these, but here's a list basically officially of what the kits contain. So both of them have portable CD players because they both have CDs for music that very pertinent, obviously, to the one about music, but also the one about nature because there's some, kinds of passive, soothing music that people might think of, things that grow in the garden while they're listening. One thing to warn you, I believe personally that the kits are so heavy because they have a portable CD player in them. And we're kind of toying with trying to figure out how many people have CD players other than in their car these days. I'm not sure how many people still have CD players. And if we really need to keep including those in the kits. So the nature kit has soothing garden music and nature sounds and some relaxing classic music. Right now we have a fidget frog. I think you might have seen that, the little orange thing there on the right, in the right hand. We're not certain that's the best idea either. So we're kind of thinking about, we're a work in progress when it comes to these memory kits. And they're also about the community that lives around the particular library. So people in Evanston may not care so much about gospel and jazz music, but they might like other kind of music. So each library has to consider what's important to their population. There are 15 sheets of cyanotype paper, and I didn't know what that was. I'm not sure if I'm the only one on the planet who didn't, but it's paper that you put an object on top of. In this case, ours shows a leaf from a tree, and then you put it out in the sun, and somehow the sun creates the image on the paper. So it's a way to make art. For people, we have 2 large piece puzzles in the nature memory kit, a book of really pretty pictures of nature, a book of really pretty animals, a rose garden picture book. Then we always include, and I'll show you this, is a book from the National Institutes of Health, National Institute of Aging, booklet on caring for a person with Alzheimer's disease, which is one of the more helpful ones out there these days. We have some coloring sheets, some Sudoku, however one pronounces that. It varies by everybody I know. And then a little canister of colored pencils with a sharpener to work on the coloring sheets. The music kit obviously has lots of music, a number of CDs, and they have a Mancala game, which is I'll show you what that looks like, but it's a wooden set with marbles. It has African roots, and people play that game by moving the marbles around into the wooden slots. There are books about people who sing music and music. And then there's, again, the same booklet from the NIH, Caring for a Person with Alzheimer's Disease, coloring sheets and colored pencils. So here's what it looks like at the Hall Library. They're sitting there on the shelf. And I just picked a few things out of a couple of the memory kits to show you. So the thing on the far left with the pink, that's the Nature Garden coloring book. Next to it, you see a canister. Those are the colored pencils. And in the top is a sharpener. The Mancala kit or game is next to it. Then the book on nature scenes, the large piece puzzles. And here is the book about caring for a person with Alzheimer's disease. So we are planning yet one more memory kit for this year. And I'm hoping maybe that the library will have the ability to create 2. Right now, our thinking is around the kit about sports for the guys and those ladies who, like me, love to follow certain aspects of sports. The approximate cost per kit is $150, which is not a huge ask, really. And currently the library has, or at least the Hall Library has funding for these kits. So they provide, we give them suggestions of what they might want to order. Mostly they order things off Amazon because that's where they have an account, which makes it easy for us to find things to suggest to them. And then they order them, they pay for them, and in their budget is what we might call some replacement funds. So, people might damage some of the items, some of the books, pages torn out, so on. So there is a fund there for replacement. We expect that that will need to be done every so often with certain kits. No surprises there. Then in each kit, we have a user survey, pretty basic. Which one did you check out? How did you like it? Why did you say that? What items did you enjoy the most? Were there any that you didn't enjoy? Tell us why. How could we improve the kits? And then what ideas do you have moving forward of other kinds of kits that we might provide? We also offer them an opportunity to let us know if they'd be willing to be interviewed in more detail about the memory kit. So I stand at the ready to do either an in-person or a telephone interview with anybody who's willing to sign up for that. So far, nobody has, but we're kind of new at this. So we'll see what happens this year if we have more of an opportunity. Just want to emphasize that these kits are for people with dementia and their care partners to do together. Although if the person with dementia is happy doing it by themselves, that's great too. We just want people to use them. We want people to have them available for use. And we would like, obviously, to have many more memory kits. Some of the suburban libraries have 10, 15 memory kits about all kinds of topics. And we're hoping someday we'll get to that point. I also want to say that Susan is helping me with this initiative or mission for 2025. I have proposed to the library, and they tell me they are working on it, to allow people to donate to the library fund for creating a memory kit in memory of someone that they lost, perhaps to dementia. And at the cost of $150 a kit, that's really not a very, tall ask. And so that's our mission now, is to have memory kit donations available for anybody that wants to donate in memory of a loved one. And what that would allow is a little card, laminated card in the kit that says this memory kit has been donated in memory of Aunt Sally or whoever it might be. So that's the story. And again, I appreciate being with you today, and thank you for the opportunity to talk about memory kits. Again, if you find yourself in your local library and would be so moved as to ask about where their memory kits are and when they're going to get them, we would love that. So I'm happy to entertain any questions or.
I have one. Did
Please.
you do some research as to what items you included in the memory kits?
So we went to about, 6 or 8 suburban libraries and took pictures and made notes of what's in their kits.
Okay, so it was what they did. You didn't do actual research yourself as to what helps memory or what is useful to people with dementia.
So we kind of know that going in of what's useful to people with dementia, just because of everyone's background. We also we exposed the items to the team at the Hark Center at the University of Chicago. So Dr. Emily Rogowski's team, they're at U of C, and we obtained their input as well. So they have been fairly vetted. The other thing is always there are memory kits all over the country at all kinds of places, not necessarily just libraries. And that's an easy thing to Google is memory kits, and there will be lists provided of what goes in them, what people offer. So yeah.
So is there a sort of a standard case, or you purchased those case for your kits, or
We also looked at cases around at what was available at other libraries, and it's a range of things. We wanted something that people could see into without having to pull down and open, and of course that's a budgetary issue. We had actually recommended a smaller but see-through plastic bag like that, but smaller. And the library went to larger because they specifically wanted the CD player, and that's kind of what took up a lot of space. But it's soup to nuts when you go out to the suburban libraries to see what they use for packaging the whole kit.
so if someone wanted to donate one, it, in a way, could be a negotiation with the library about what they would need and what the person wants to include in the kit.
So our vision really is that people would donate $150, and the library would then provide the kit. Now, I will say this is definitely a work in progress. So we're not far along enough to say this is exactly how it's going to work. That's just our vision.
But a library couldn't put in a request to central services, wherever, that they want a memory kit, like they might order a book or whatever.
I'm not sure I understand the question.
I mean, they can't say, like, they want a book of Gone with the Wind or something.
Oh,
And you can't just say, well, I need to order a memory kit.
you know, when you're working with the library, it's a tantamount to working with the government.
Yeah.
So there are levels and levels of layers and layers and approvals, and it was way more involved than I kind of was anticipating.
Sure.
So I'm not able to honestly tell you yes or no, but I'm inclined to think that the library, actually whatever library you wanted in, they probably are the best people to choose the topics of their memory kits. But we're pretty far away from, I wish we were closer to being able to say yes or no to that. We're not that close yet. So, yeah.
I think it's a wonderful initiative, and I don't know if others have questions. I know you have, Janie has another commitment, so she's going to have to leave us fairly quickly. But so if anyone has another question, maybe one more question, if there is one. Okay. Well, I thank you, Janie. And of course, this is recorded. And as you say, this is a work in progress, as so much of our work is. And I thank you so much for getting it started in Hall Library. Our goal now will be to get it going in our local Blackstone library.
That's great. And thank you so much for having me. And just ask everybody to spread the word. That's what we're trying to do. It's been fun. Thank you.
Thank you, Janie.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Oh, Dawn, you're back. I wasn't expecting you yet. Well, let me introduce Dawn, and then at the very end, we'll have some more time for questions about the dementia kits as well as other things, because it's clear that keeping your memory sharp is important. it's something we all have to work on. I know I play some games. Other people do other things, and this is to sort of explore. It's not necessarily for just dementia patients. It is important for all of us to keep. And I know the village offers the writing program is one way people keep doing it. But I want to introduce our next participant, Reverend Dawnn Pirani Brumfield. She is a pastor. She served at many churches, but she is currently part-time interim pastor at my church, at the United Church of Hyde Park. And we're just delighted to have her. She's also done an awful lot in clinical psychology. She's worked with groups. She has very broad experience. But that's not what I want to talk to you people about, or what I want her to talk about. She also is involved in theater. She is a member and a teaching artist, it said, of the Chicago Playback Theater. And I was privileged to go and see them at, speaking of, Blackstone Library, I went there and saw a group with her doing some improv things. They suggested topics, and then they got the audience involved too. So it was a very delightful experience. And I think it's another way to keep our memories going and sharp. So we've invited her to talk with us a little bit. So Reverend Dawnn, if you'd like to say a few things, and then we can have questions. And
yes, I will. So as Anne has already said, my name is Dawnn Pirani Brumfield. And as has already been mentioned, I do a whole lot of things. Serving as a pastor, also serve as the director of a program that integrates mental health and faith. And so those are two passions of mine. But the other passion of mine is theater performance, more specifically storytelling and such. And so as Anne has mentioned, I'm part of the Chicago Playback Theater Ensemble, which is solely focused on telling the stories of the folks in the audience and then inviting them to see those stories played back using improv, movement, and and music. And so I've been a part of this ensemble, both as an ensemble member, as well as a teaching artist, as well as now the managing director for a little bit more than a year. And it has been a wonderful experience. So I want to thank you all for being here. I want to start with something that all of us know deep down. Our minds are meant to stay curious. They are meant to be expressive. They are meant to be playful at any age. I listened to the presentation from Janie, and I agree wholeheartedly that it is important to keep our minds active as we continue to age. And I often am curious about where did we lose that? If we think about what it was like when we were kids, or even teenagers, perhaps not so much as teenagers, but definitely as kids, we played, we laughed, we would draw things that only we knew what they were, and our parents would put them on the refrigerator and say, oh, look at the lovely whatever it looked like. And so the question is, where did all of that end? And so when I say creative drama, I don't mean memorizing Shakespeare or performing on stage, although if that's your thing, you go with it, okay? But what I mean is imaginative play, using your body, your voice, and creativity to explore ideas and stories, and most importantly, to explore your feelings. So think like improvisation and storytelling and expressive reading, or just using a dramatic voice to tell a funny story. Do any of you all like telling stories to your kids or grandkids, to your partners or spouses? Any of you all like telling stories?
mm-hmm.
Yes, maybe. I don't know. I know Grace is looking like, oh, I'm not so sure about that.
No, I'm not a storyteller.
You're not a storyteller.
But Anne is for sure.
Yeah.
Yes, Anne definitely is. And she tells great stories. And so what does storytelling do for the brain? What do you all think? What does it do for the brain?
You use your imagination.
You use your imagination. What else? Susan, I see you thinking about it. What you think?
Well, imagination, creativity.
Creativity. Anything else?
Memory.
You have
You
memory.
must have memory to really
Memory. Anything else?
You have to give details when you tell a story so others can imagine what's in your mind.
Okay, so it helps us with showcasing our imagination. So you all have hit all of the things. Creative drama literally lights up all of the areas, or not all, but several areas of your brain all at one time. So it lights up the part that holds your memory when we remember details, as Anne just said, or characters in a story. It lights up the part of our brain that deals with language as we speak and as folks listen. It highlights the part of our imagination, which I think Anne also said, as we can imagine and picture new scenes and new things and ideas. It lights up the part that deals with our emotion as we express our emotion or respond to someone else's emotion. And it lights up the part of our brain that deals with empathy and connection. So as we relate to other people's experiences. So this kind of engagement, when you talk about storytelling and drama, it literally improves the cognitive flexibility of your brain. Okay, so as we age, our brains, we kind of slow down a little bit, not just physically, but mentally, sometimes emotionally, we slow down. And so this is all things and ideas that we use to kind of increase our mobility, not just our movement physically, but the mobility and the flexibility of our minds. So before we get to playing, which is my whole reason for being here today, I'm going to share just a few facts with you all. Did you know that seniors involved in creative expression report less loneliness and more social connections, both key factors in mental health? Did you know that?
No.
No. Did you know that just 15 to 30 minutes a week of storytelling can lead to better verbal fluency and improved memory? Now, this is according to researchers at Northwestern and the University of Illinois. So just 15 minutes a week of telling a story can help you have better verbal fluency and better memory. And then the last one, which is personally one of my favorites, creative activities like drama, they stimulate neuroplasticity, which is the brain's ability to form new pathways. So maybe you've given up on your brain, but I want you to know that your brain has complete capability and possibility of creating new pathways. Even, I don't care if you are a seasoned person or just now hitting the stage as a senior citizen, your brain can still forge new pathways. And so the last question I have for you all is, why drama? Why do you all think drama? After everything that I said, why drama and storytelling? Yep, Beverly.
I think it's more expressive.
Okay, yeah, it is expressive. Anybody else have another thought?
Well, it brings together more
Mm.
aspects in many ways. It's
Yes.
expression also, but it's sharing, empathy.
I love it. Yes, sharing empathy, that is such a good word, but it invites us literally to take a break from the routine, to surprise ourselves, to laugh, to tell stories, to be seen and to be heard. Drama really gives us the opportunity, if you think about it, to imagine out loud. So I don't know about some of you all, but oftentimes, you know, I can have a whole conversation with somebody in my head, but it never makes it out. And that kind of stunts the opportunity to be in connection with people, right? So when you have storytelling, I've already talked about all the ways the brain is lit up by storytelling and drama. But when you are in relationship with someone and you are allowed to talk and they listen, or they talk and you listen, then it really opens up the opportunity for deeper connection, more relationship and empathy. And it gives us the opportunity to connect with our younger selves. Now, the thing about it, I'm at a very tender age. I'm now finding myself in a generation of the sandwich generation that I used to hear my mother talk about and never understood. But now I have a little bit more understanding. I have young adult children who are not kids anymore, but they're still my kids. And then my parents who are aging and are in their, not, my mom's almost 70 and my dad's in almost 70 as well. And sometimes I watch them aging and I just want to go to them and say, it's okay to laugh and remember your younger self. It's totally okay and it's cool. And that's what I imagine is really hard to be in a world that often tells us to quiet down, especially as we age. You know, a lot of times we find ourselves in spaces where they're like, oh, she's just an old woman. She has nothing to say. Or he's just an old man. He's just leave him alone over there. As we age, the world continues to move along and just wants us to silence ourselves. And so this is an opportunity for us to play. So now that I've given you all my lecture, I want to play just a little bit. And so we're going to do just a few things that I'm going to invite you all to indulge me in. Now, of course, you don't have to participate, but I would love it if you do. What I'm going to ask you to do first is, I can see your names on the screen, but I'm going to ask you to say your name with a dramatic flair. Okay? So whatever that flair looks like, and none of us are the like flair police. So whatever that flair looks like is what it is. And I will start so that y'all feel a little bit more comfortable. All right?
Okay.
I'm just saying my name with a dramatic flair. Dawnn. And that's all I'm doing. Okay? Now that's because I'm at work. That was as much drama as I could give you. But you all are in your sacred homes. You are welcome to do it as dramatic or as little as you want it to be. And I don't want to call names, so I'm just going to let y'all go at will. But I will call names, so I'll invite you all at this time.
And
Susan.
Beverly!
I love it. We got 3 people left. Let's hear it.
I'm Greta.
I love it. That was great.
See, I'm not good at this.
Yes,
I don't
you are.
know.
All you have to do is say your name. You know your name. All you have to do is say your name, Ina Grace. And you don't have to even put dramatic flair into it. I'm gonna give you a pass.
You got more to work with than some of us.
Yeah.
I
would
true,
like
true.
to
Mine
say
was
my
very
name.
short.
All right.
Yeah, I would also like to
Ah.
say my name since this activity seems so interesting. So,
Okay.
see ya.
Oh, yeah, love it. All right. Ina Grace, I'm gonna let you pause on this one or pass on this one.
All right.
sure you
All
don't
right.
wanna
Thank
go?
you.
You sure you don't want to go?
Who else do we have?
Is it Marcia or
Marsha.
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 She's
Oh, she's
muted. Marsha,
muted,
you're
Marsha.
muted. Unmute yourself.
Can't figure out.
You're still muted.
Can we unmute?
I don't know how.
Dia, do you know how to unmute her?
The mo
I have
the-
asked, yeah.
There she is.
There, okay.
Okay.
Marsha.
Okay. Marsha.
Yay!
Very
I love
good.
it. You all did a fabulous job, as my mentor would say. Okay, here's another activity for us to do. Give me 1 second. Let me pull it up on my phone. I'm so glad that you all are actively engaging this. Okay, so I am going to ask you, this next thing I'm going to ask you to do is I'm going to ask you to close your eyes. Don't do it yet. And I'm going to ask you things like, tell us, I want you to imagine in your brain, given the sentences that I'm asking. So I will say something like, you're walking into a candy store from your childhood. What colors and smells greet you? Okay, so it's going to be something like that, not that one, but something like that. And as I call it out, I want you to recall, and then I'm going to invite you to tell us what is in that room that you saw. What did you smell? Who did you see? What did you hear? Engaging all of your senses. All right. All right, let's try this one first. You're in your childhood kitchen, hearing someone cook. What does it sound like?
Noisy.
Noisy. All right. Can anybody smell anything?
Hmm.
I hear sizzling. I smell ground beef.
Ground beef. Is
Mm.
that for a particular meal, Greta, or is that?
Hard to know. My mom usually made stuff up as she went along, but it
Okay.
always started with ground beef.
Ground beef. And are you a ground beef eater now, or did that kind of ruin it for you?
I am not. I am a self-taught cook because my mom was not very good at it and she would admit it.
Okay. All right. Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that story. See, this is how stories get built. Anybody else want to speak about what they're smelling in their kitchen? What are they
Well, I
seeing in their
I
kitchen?
smell
Who's there?
chocolate cake.
Okay.
My
Why do
mother
you
made
smell chocolate
delicious
cake?
chocolate cake.
Okay. And what,
Always for my birthday, I had a devil's food cake with
Okay.
vanilla frosting.
can you
Ooh.
hear the mixer going?
Yeah, yep.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
mostly have it baking in the oven.
Baking in the oven. Can you smell it baking in the oven?
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, is when a cake is baking in the oven, remember how they used to tell you to be quiet? Is that with any cake or is that just some cakes?
Like,
I really think it's if a cake is rising, they wanted you to be quiet so you didn't disturb the airways, but it didn't really work.
something like an angel food or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Anybody else want to talk about what?
I'm picturing my mother letting me use the rolling pin on some pie crust.
Okay. What kind of pie were you
Oh,
making, Amy?
I'm sure it was a fruit pie, but I don't remember what kind of fruit. But
Mhm.
she was sort of hovering over me so that I would get the rolling pin just right and get the it thin enough so that we could put it in. But she was trying to let me do it by myself.
How old were you, Anne?
I think I was about 8.
8. Okay.
That's what's sort of, there wasn't really much of a smell. And the sound of a rolling pin on pie crust is pretty soft.
Pretty
So it's
soft.
all the, yeah, you just sort of,
But
doesn't
can
make
you
much
hear your
noise.
mom's voice?
yes, I hear my mom's voice reminding me, gentle now. Don't
Gentle.
push too hard.
Gentle, beautiful. Thank you for sharing that story. Anybody else have a story? Susan, I see you nodding your head.
Yes.
Well, go ahead, Marcia.
Go ahead,
Marcia.
Marcia.
I have my mother, one of my favorite meals my mother used to make was chicken, rice, and peas.
Oh,
And,
wow.
and it really and she'd put sugar on the rice and everything and the chicken was baked with butter and onion salt. She
Wow.
loved onion salt. She didn't like onions so much, but she liked onion salt. And she made that, and the rice, and the rice would have sugar on it. I mean, every once in a while I make that now. I still, once in a while I have it and remember all the wonderful times whenever she made that. I know when she made certain things like liver, she cooked it too much, so I didn't like that so much. But there were other things that I really liked, and so whenever she made those ones I liked, she'd make heart and tongue, and I did that for a while when I was on my own. And I remember I was in charge of baking. I got to make fudgy mallows and chocolate chip Toll House cookies, and I forgot what the other ones were, but I know one time when we were in Colorado and we were going to go home, and I was the one who was supposed to bake the dessert or the treat that we could have in the car, and I think it was either fudgy mallows or it was something with chocolate in it.
Okay.
And I made that. I cooked them and I put them on top of the stove to cool. And the next thing we saw, they were all messed up. The dog came and ate them all. The dog got sick,
Oh,
and we didn't have any treats that year.
Oh, I'm sorry, but it was a beautiful story that you shared. Thank you so much for sharing that story. Beverly or Susan, either of you have anything?
Well, I remember my mother always making her homemade rolls. You know, she would roll them out at nighttime and let them rise up, and just the smell of fresh bread.
Fresh bread.
Yes.
And so when you go places and you can smell the fresh bread, does it bring back memories like that?
It makes me hungry.
It makes you hungry. Absolutely. All right. Susan, what about you?
Well, mine was also about bread, fresh bread.
Okay.
And the smell of it as it was rising. And what I remember was as it was rising, before it was ready, before it was baked, she would cut off pieces and fry it. And she called it scones. But it wasn't, it was fried dough. So
well, you know, carnivals in Great America make tons of money cooking frying dough and calling them elephant ears. So
yeah,
there you go.
Well, I was so disappointed. I loved it. I mean, it was fresh and you slathered lots of butter on it. It was great.
Wow.
But later on, then when people started going into a restaurant or elsewhere, people served scones, and I thought, that's not scone.
That's not a scone. That's beautiful. Okay, I only have one more for you all, and then I will take some questions or answers about anything. So actually, maybe I have two more. You're found an old box of letters. Whose handwriting is on the top of that letter? You found an old box of letters. Whose handwriting is on the top of that letter?
my father liked to collect letters and even he collected the postcards I sent home from college.
Wow.
You know, which were my mother would address them, and then all I had to do was write a little bit and send them home. But it would be. In fact, my sister still has some of the boxes, and every now and then she shows a picture or something. But yeah, it'd be my father.
Your dad. All right. Anybody else? And what about you?
It'd be Cal's.
Cal.
It'd be my husband's. Yeah.
What is Cal writing to you?
Well, he went to Europe after he graduated, and I was still in college. And he wrote letters home describing his whole trip. He wrote
Wow.
to me.
Do you have them still?
I have most of them, yes.
Wow.
I should say, I found the other day I was going through some things, and we're of the old generation where I was pinned in college. I don't know, and he wrote a poem announcing our pinship or whatever. And it was in his handwriting. So it was a very special memory to find, because it's actually coming up this weekend, would have been the anniversary of it. So it was kind of
Wow.
special.
Sure.
I'm glad that God gave you that gift.
Isn't that
allowed you
nice?
to-
Yeah.
Yeah.
I sort of feel that way too.
That's beautiful. Anybody else want to tell us whose handwriting is at the top? Oh, Beverly, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say my grandmother. I just picture her writing. She would always have a pencil, and she would take paper bags to write notes on paper bags. And she had beautiful penmanship. I just loved her penmanship.
Mhm.
They don't teach penmanship anymore in schools.
No,
No, they don't.
you're right.
People don't know how
They,
to write
they taught
anymore.
me. I
No.
learned penmanship, but the students these days, no, they have.
No.
Right.
Anybody else want to tell us?
Well, I have.
Marcia, I want
Hey,
to.
hold on, Marcia. Hold on, Marcia. Hold on 1 second. Let me hear Susan.
Well, I was going to say, in my mother's house, before she moved from upstate New York, there was a box of those blue aerograms with very, very
Yes,
tiny
that's what
writing,
Cal had
all
on.
squeezed in. And it was my writing
Okay.
that I had sent home
Oh.
from when I was
Oh,
living.
how wonderful. Yes.
That's beautiful. All right, Marcia, what you got? Whose handwriting is on the top of that letter that you found?
Well, I have a whole bunch of cards that I've been saving for 20 years. I'll see if I can make it show. See all those
Oh,
cards?
right.
That's just one door. There's another one in there. There's just a whole lot of doors that have and their
Handwriting is
front
on it,
door
Marcia.
too. And I don't have room to put them up anymore, but I have a whole bunch of letters from all different family members. I used to get a lot of Christmas cards, and now hardly anybody sends anything. They might send you an email or an e-card, not very many. But anyway, I remember once my one aunt, who I'm named after, my mother's sister, she would send postcards, and she sent she did it for a bunch of years, and she's not alive anymore. But she had interesting things, and I can't reach the one in the bedroom. Is the best card she ever sent. She has very small handwriting, and she could put a lot in, and she just had my name and address way down in the corner, so they know where to send it. But my favorite card that she sent was a picture of a collie, a beautiful dog, sitting and looking at this snow dog. Like in the house, they made a dog, sitting dog out of snow instead of a snowman. With a snow dog. And
That's impressive.
It looked exactly the shape of a dog. It was totally white, except it had red eyes.
Oh, wow.
That dog
That's
was just looking at that snow dog, and I was thinking that maybe I was wondering if that was just a pregnant pause, like you don't know what the dog's going to do. Now, I think he's probably going to look at that snow dog, and then after a while he's going to bark because it's not moving, and it's still moving. And then I was thinking he might jump up on it, and it will start to fall down, and then he'd scream, he'd tear back to the house because it was scared him or something. I don't know, but it's such a beautiful, just a frozen moment. And that's a very, very original. Not all any other holiday cards have all kinds of other stuff.
With
that one I really
a frozen moment in time, which is what a story is. I'm
Mhm.
gonna let Greta and or Ellie have the last word about you find a box of old letters whose handwriting is on the top.
It would be my dad's handwriting, but it wouldn't necessarily be a letter. It would be notes. We have a family cabin in northern Wisconsin, and we have notes all over the place in his handwriting, reminding us how to turn off the gas when the last one leaves, and how to do this, and you know, the name of the plumber, even though that, you know, we've kept them all, even though some of that information isn't relevant anymore. It's just kind of fun to find them in these little places, nooks and crannies.
Yeah. Well, even though we've come to the end of our time of playing, I really want to appreciate and thank and applaud you all for indulging me in
That was
just
fun.
30 minutes of just telling stories and listening and making our brains move. I bet you all have gained at least a day or two by spending this time here with us having conversations and telling stories. I am so appreciative of the invitation. I'm happy to come back anytime. Oh, Ellie, I see your hand. You got a question? You're on mute though, so wait before you start talking. Ellie, unmute yourself.
Yeah.
I was just one of the ones who's going to speak. Is there
Good.
time for me to do
Yes,
that?
go ahead. I will
Yes.
hold space for you.
Yes, I found a letter from my Aunt Anne, and she was writing, describing her childhood, her memories of my grandfather, her father, other members of the family, my father as a young man. And one story she told was she went with her father, my grandfather, to this place where there were these people who were talking and laughing and having a good time, and they sat her up on a tall stool and gave her some ginger ale. And then when she got home and described it to her mother realized that her father had taken her to a bar.
Bar.
Very angry about that. So
wow.
Lovely memory. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you all again.
Well, we want to thank you because you got our memories going.
Yes.
And it is important that we use our minds. And I think you expanded our thinking about ways of using our minds.
Yes,
because
and I got
that's
plenty
not
more where that came from. So
okay. We will.
And I must say, this is much more fun than the memory class where you sit down and
I know. Yeah.
we might talk about that. That's what
we should just mention to people that the village does have a stronger memory class. I think it's 6 sessions with Susan Rosenberg. And it focuses on writing, simple math, and reading out loud.
Okay.
All things that she feels, or there's been studies that show that you use your mind. And when she does math, it's the basics, like you learned in 1st and 2nd grade. It's not algebra or calculus or any of that. It's the stuff that, and there's studies that show if you use that and keep it going, it's good for you. So.
Well, and writing is writing out longhand, not
on a computer,
not texting or sending an email.
No.
I'm gonna go back to work, you all.
Yes, thank you so much, Reverend Dawn. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you all. Have a nice